Hi readers and writers, my name's Miss Wentling and I'm here to be your literacy guide. I'll be helping you in daily videos with your ELA School Away from School. Today's our first lesson together. In this unit of study, you'll be learning about the importance of clean fresh water around the world, as well as some other nature topics. Fresh water is the water that we drink that comes out of the tap, not salt water like the ocean. You'll read a new text each week and practice skills that will help you be better readers and writers. The guiding questions for this unit of study are: why are the world's freshwater sources threatened? A source is where something comes from or is found. And our second guiding question: how do people persuade others to take action to contribute to a better world? Persuade means to convince or cause someone to believe in something. These two guiding questions will help guide your thinking and learning throughout this unit of study. For your final project, you're going to be able to take a stand. You'll create a public service announcement about the importance of an issue that you pick and give evidence for your point of view. A speech about an important issue is sometimes called a public service announcement, or PSA for short. A PSA is an announcement and also an advertisement. You need to sell your idea with information and a viewing experience that changes the way people feel. Before we get started, let's make sure that you have everything you need for today's lesson. First, make sure you have a copy of the text, Water on Earth. It's located in your ELA packet on page 8. You'll also need a copy of Lesson 1. Again, that will be in your ELA packet on page 10. And your Lesson 1 note catcher, which is located right after Lesson 1 on page 11. You're also going to need a pencil to write with. Pause the video here and make sure you have all of the materials you need for this lesson. The learning target for this lesson is: I can determine the central message of the text. Determine means find or figure out. The central message is a big idea the author wants you to understand and take away from reading the text. We'll learn more about central message later in this lesson. First, we're going to do a reading of the article Water on Earth. We'll be reading from this text all week, and today we're really just focusing on the big idea. Make sure you have the article Water on Earth on page 8 in your ELA packet and follow along as I read it out loud. Water on Earth. Image 1. A bluish glacier is seen in an ocean in Antarctica in February 2019. Most of the fresh water on Earth exists in the form of glaciers. Water moves through Earth on the land, ocean, and air. This is called the water cycle. Water always exists in all three places in many forms: evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. The water cycle is made up of three major parts: evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. Evaporation. Evaporation is when a liquid changes to a gas. A liquid is something that flows, like water in a river. A liquid is not hard like a rock. A rock is solid. Liquid water is found in the ocean, lakes, or rivers. This water evaporates and becomes water vapor. It is a gas that you cannot see. It goes up into the air. The air around the planet is called the atmosphere. Evaporation is caused by the sun. The sun warms up the water and the water turns into gas. The second image, image 2, a diagram of the water cycle. The cycle shows how water moves through our planet. Condensation. Condensation is when gas changes to a liquid. This happens to water vapor in the atmosphere. The gas cools down and it turns into liquid. Precipitation. After condensation, liquid or solid water falls to Earth. Precipitation is what falls. Rain and snow are precipitation. Precipitation is important in the water cycle. It is how water moves from the atmosphere back to Earth. States of water. Water comes in many forms and continually changes in the water cycle. Water is in 3 forms. They are solid, liquid, and vapor. Ice is solid water. It is hard like a rock. Most of Earth's fresh water is found in giant mountains of ice called glaciers. As ice melts, it turns to liquid. The ocean, lakes, and rivers hold liquid water. Water vapor is in the atmosphere. There's a lot of water vapor above the ocean. There is very little in the air above deserts where it is very dry. The water cycle and climate. The water cycle has a big effect on climate. Climate is the kind of weather in an area. Humidity creates different climates on Earth. It is how much water vapor is in the air. Places on the coast are very humid. There's a lot of water vapor in the atmosphere. Places far away from water are not humid. The water cycle and the landscape. The water cycle also affects the land on Earth. As glaciers slowly grow, they can carve out valleys. Glaciers can push up mountains. Rivers can carve huge canyons. Fast facts. Breaking the cycle. Today, glaciers are melting. Their ice cannot be replaced by precipitation fast enough. There is less fresh water that exists on Earth when this happens. The water cycle changes. Now that we've read the text, I'd like you to think to yourself about a few questions. What is the article about? What did you learn about water from this article? Pause the video here if you need some extra time to think. Now is the time to talk about the text with a family member, caregiver, or friend. Remember that the central message is a big idea that the author wants you to understand and take away from reading a text. Make sure that you pause the recording after each question so that everyone gets a chance to share. Let's look at the first question. What do you think the central message of the article is? Go ahead and pause while you talk about this. All right, ready for the second question. What makes you think that? Pause while you talk about this. And ready for the third question. What in the text makes you think so? Pause the video here and discuss. Now that you've read, thought, and talked about the text, it's time to write about it. Turn to the Lesson 1 note catcher on page 11 of your ELA packet. Today you have 2 tasks. The first task is to draw your own version of the water cycle in the box. Look back at the picture, image 2, and the text for help, and make sure to label your drawing. Pause here while you complete the first task. Now that your drawing is done, I want you to write the central message of water on Earth. Think back to the discussion you had before. Pause here while you write the central message. Nice job. It's time for us to wrap up this lesson. Make sure you share your writing and drawing with someone and tell them why you chose to write and draw what you did. Also, please remember to spend 20 minutes reading with a family member, caregiver, or friend. Also, I want you to work on your fluency practice. Use a timer, like a cell phone timer, kitchen timer, or have someone count to 60 and read the passage for 1 minute. Count the words you read and write the number at the top of your article. You'll come back to this later in the week. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me and learning with me. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. We'll be doing lesson number 2 and some close reading of the text. See you later.